Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
All right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, December 8th. We're halfway through the month already. I can't believe it. 2025 is right around the corner. We're going to be there before you know it. Hopefully, the next year will be a better year than this one. And I've never said that before because every year is a great year to me. Every year that I'm alive and breathing is always a good year. But a lot of death in the families this year. So, it was a little sad, but what are you going to do about it? That's life, right? Okay, well, we got a great show for everybody tonight. Kevin Mercer from Krank is our guest. He'll be calling in live in about 45 minutes. And the only guest we have, it's going to be our first live guest that's moving the mixer last week. We made it through the show pretty decently, I think. We didn't have too many hiccups. There weren't too many chinks in the armor last week. You know what I'm saying? We made it through the show. Hopefully, tonight will be just as good. If there's any issues with the interview when we're doing it, that you can hear any audio issues, just let me know in the chat because this is the first live interview we're doing. I think I have all the virtual cables hooked up correctly. I think I got the switchboard tied into the phone line properly. We'll see when this interview takes place. I was going to do just pre-recorded ones for the rest of the year, just to play it safe, and then figure I'd work on it over the holidays. But life goes on, right? We got to keep moving with it. I guess the big news this week is Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden retired. He packed it in after 40, I can't believe 42 years with Iron Maiden. Some people were shocked, some people were disappointed, some people couldn't understand why. The man is 72 years old. Listen, I retired 2 years ago from Con Edison here in New York after working there 35 years. So 42 years of beating the drums, being out on the road. It sounds like a real glamorous lifestyle. And listen, when you're at a level that Iron Maiden is, you're traveling pretty well, you sleep in hotels pretty well, and you're making good money, especially if you're one of those original founder members of the band or an early on member. So it's a lot different than some underground band that's going out there slugging it out on vans and in cars going from place to place. But 42 years, that's a long time to do it. And I was talking with John the other day. We were chit chatting back and forth. Sent a text messages, and he was asking, you think it's going to be somebody famous? I was like, absolutely not, no way. No way would Iron Maiden bring in a well-known famous drummer. It just wouldn't work for those guys. It just wouldn't. But they went with what's his name, Simon Dawson from Steve Harris's other band, British Lion. So, if you know the band British Lion, you know him, but he's not a well-known drummer. I think he'll fit in well, and he's a hired gun. Like I said, I mean, he's not going to bring in. John's like, I hope it isn't Mike Portnoy. I'm like, no, it's not going to be Mike Portnoy, John. Don't worry about it. But you can't have that. This is more like that Bon Jovi situation where they replaced the bass player with somebody who's just he's an established member of the band, but he's a hired gun. He just stands to the side, does his thing, and the focus is always on John Bon Jovi and the other two guys that are still left in that original lineup. Even when they brought in Phil X, to play guitar for Richie Sambora, he was a little bit more well known than the bass player was, but he's still a background player in the band. That's the way it has to be with Iron Maiden. So this was all decided before this tour even started. I thought it was a smart idea, like the way they did it. They didn't announce until the night before the last show. Instead of building this tour up with people saying, "Oh, this is gonna be the last time we see Nico McBrain," I mean, it's like, listen, you come out and see us live because you never know what's gonna happen. And Nico's not there anymore, so if you didn't go out and see Iron Maiden this time, you're never gonna see him again playing live with Iron Maiden. Well, I should say never. He's still a part of the band, technically, they're saying, so he might make an occasional appearance here and there. I don't see it happening on the live front from maybe one song sitting in somewhere down the road. But hey, God bless him. Good luck with him. He's retired. He still says he's going to be doing music. Just being out on the road after all those years, that's kind of hard. So good for him. Sit back, enjoy life, and just enjoy what you got left. 72 years old. So I hope I can make it to 72 years old. And that's not that far down the line for me. So that's a little Iron Maiden. I think Waste of Years kind of sums up everything that he's talking about going into retirement. So here you go.
From the coast of gold
All right, Surgical Steel with Crank It Up. Jeff Martin has got to get this band back together. I know that those demos are being remastered. They're going to be released on a label. I don't remember who's putting it out. I'll find out next week. They sent me the info, and I completely forgot to write it down to announce it this week. But they are going to get reissued. Uh, Jeff should put, like I said, Jeff should put this band back together. They had two great demos. I believe this one was produced by Rob Halford back in the 83, 84 came out about. They were a great band. They should have went on to bigger and better things, but it's the luck of the draw most of the time. It is what it is in this business, but that's life, right? Before that, Sirith Ungle with Black Machine. I guess the band's getting ready to wrap up their final tour. I think they're still going to be putting out records, but they're not going to be playing live. At least they say they're not going to be playing live anymore, but, they will, like every band does. And then before that, Kim Six with Warrior Whip Your Horse. And we start off the set with Iron Maiden and Waste of Years. Nico McBrain retiring after 42 years of playing the drums for Iron Maiden. God bless him. I'm retired myself, so I kind of enjoy the life. It is what it is, but hey, life goes on. Okay, we got about another 15 minutes or so before we talk to Kevin Mercer from Krank. We'll get on a few more tunes between now and then. Gary Schultze from Child saying, let me listen to some new music that the band is working on. It's in the rough stages right now, but let me tell you, if you're a fan of the earlier material of that band, you are going to absolutely love the new stuff they're going to put out. I cannot wait for it, and when they do release it, we'll get them back on the show again, and we'll talk more about the band. All right, so how about we play some classic, old school Child Saint? Let's do Persecution. right, Child saying Persecution, Panther with War Child, and right there, Steeler on the Rocks. Last week, John said do a segment, one and done. So there you go, John. Steeler had one record and they disappeared, and that was it for them. They actually just put out a brand new song. Ron Keel did a record called Kill World, where it kind of featured all the different bands he was in, which pretty much all variations of the Ron Keel band, in my opinion. But it actually isn't too bad of a song. Rick Fox plays bass on it. I think it might have been that lineup that came into play after Yngwie left the band. And what's funny is like years ago, I started watching like all these metal documentaries on that Tubi site. And then, my grandkids came along and I was working nights. I just didn't have a chance to get through them all. So this weekend, my grandkids were happily busy the whole weekend. So I sat down and I went through like as many of the documentaries as I can. I went through the whole LA Metal series that Bob Nalbanian did. And Bob was a dear old friend. He passed away a couple of years ago, which was very sad. So I finally got through those episodes. And I remember a few years back, I was reading from one of the Metal Forces magazines, an interview with Yngwie Malmsteen, where he was complaining about like he doesn't want to be with the band. I think he might have just broke up or left the band at that time. And he was like, I couldn't take being in that band. There was nowhere to go to get a good hamburger over there without getting like robbed. And he was talking about like, all he kept talking about was like getting a good hamburger. And the neighborhood wasn't, the place to go get one. I never really made heads or tails out of what he was talking about in the interview. And then when I was watching the LA Metal documentary, they were talking with Ron Keel and Rick Fox. And they were saying, we had the Steeler house, the Steeler mansion, they called it. And it was in like the ghetto of LA. They were like the only white people in an all black neighborhood over there. So now I know why Yngwie was saying what he was saying. He couldn't go out to get a hamburger without worrying about getting, robbed or killed over there. So now I completely understand it. So if you ever get a chance to go through those LA Metal series, they're really good. I had a great time watching them. So go and check them out. Tubi's a free app. And there's a lot of stuff. I finally got through the end of Mean Man, which I couldn't get through the whole thing of either. So I had a very productive weekend watching a lot of metal documentaries. And there are a ton on there, and they're all free. So download the Tubi app on your phone or your TV. I'm an old school person. Like I have my Verizon and my Fios, and I just watch my channels like Channel 2, Channel 7, So all those apps like a new thing to me. I just started getting into them recently. My kids put them on for me, and I've been watching them. But that's just the way life goes, I guess, right? All right, we're going to be talking to Kevin in a few minutes. So let me see, what are we going to do here? Oh, Kerry King was talking about how his band felt blindsided about the announcement that he was going to go do the reunion shows with Slayer. And all I kept thinking is now Mark knows how Death Angel felt when he made the announcement. He was playing with Kerry King, and everything that he was doing with Death Angel got put on hold. They were in the process of putting out a new record that got put on hold because he was with Kerry King touring. They had to cancel their tour with Wasp, which Armor Saint are on right now. So that probably was really devastating to them because they're not a band that gets out a hell of a lot on tour, it seems. And they're also like that level where they can go out and do like a tour of the U.S. on their own headlining and kind of sell out those nice sized places. So those guys took a big kick in the ass from Mark when he announced that he was playing with Kerry King. And I get it, believe me. You're going to be playing in front of bigger audiences with Kerry King, touring a lot more and actually making some money. So I do understand that, but you've been with that other band for almost 40 years. You got to have a little respect for them too. It is what it is, I guess, right? Okay, let's play some Krank as we wait for Kevin to call in. How about we do some Evil? Kevin, this is Mike. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. You're live on the air. We were just playing some Crank for everybody before you got on here.
Awesome.
Hey, listen, such a big fan of you guys going back. It's a long time now, man. I can't believe, 1982 feels like yesterday in my mind, but it was a long time back. And I'm glad you guys, put it back together years ago and keep doing it.
Well, we do try. It's been a while since we did. We haven't had another show since I think 2011 was our last show. So guys are
Yeah,
older. They've moved on now, but I'm holding the flame. Still got the website up and down, here and there, and still
I hear you.
still keeping the word alive, I guess.
That's all that matters. But you got a lot going on. I mean, you got the Zillion Dollar Babies, the Land of Oz, the Fire Your Guns. I'm going to talk about all that, later on. We'll get to all the other stuff that you're doing. But,
Sure.
you're talking about Crank. I mean, I remember hearing, I think, I want to say it was Atlantic City, or I know I showed you guys at the show place back in the 80s. I think it was somewhere down in Atlantic City, down that way. And you guys just blew me away. And then the first time I was able to hear you guys on record was when you had the song on Metal Forces. I think it was like the seventh Metal Forces record that came out.
The Metal
I'm
Massacre
sorry,
Seven. Yeah.
Metal Massacre. I'm sorry, Metal Massacre.
Yes. Yeah, that was a pretty good lucky break for us. Metal Blade was a pretty quality label back in the day. I mean, that's where Metallica and Slayer came from. So, you know, we figured, hey, we're in good company, right?
Absolutely. Well, how did it come about that you got offered to put a song on that record? Because he had six albums out before that. He had already established that label, Brian, and it was doing really well back then. It was a big underground label. So, how did you hook up with them where you were able to get a song on that record?
Actually, they had contacted us. I know Brian Slagle was a big tape trader fan, so I guess back in the days, people used to, find all these cool bands and send them tapes, and that's how he had heard about us. So I guess he liked what he heard, and he contacted us and asked if we wanted to be on the compilation album, which of course led to them putting us under contract for our debut album.
So, did that come right away, or at the same time, or was it a little later on that the offer made for the full length record came out?
Well, Metal Massacre 7 came out before that. It was, I mean, we had gone into they paid for us to go in and do a demo, and then when they asked us to do a full album, we went back into the studio and basically finished it then. So we're talking about like a year in between, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, how did the whole band come about? I mean, it was like 1982, I believe, that the band formally got started, and that was really early on into the scene. Bands like Metallica were just getting the first record out. Nobody knew that like all that underground music was really going to explode, and everybody's going to sign to major labels. So, how did Crank come about? I mean, you guys all from the New Jersey area back then?
Well, that's not necessarily my story to tell. I didn't join the band until 1983. But our singer Frank and our guitar player Mike were the guys who put the band together down, and they went through a couple different bass players and drummers until they settled on Jack and I. So yeah, I came down here in 1983 to join Krank, and the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Was it a cover band still when you joined, or were you guys already working on originals at that point in time?
Well, at that time, it was mostly just cover bands, but we did have originals. Back then, most of the Jersey scene and the Philly scene was all cover bands, but the smart ones would throw in their own originals. It wasn't really until Cinderella came out and had the balls to just do originals and nothing else where everything changed, and then everybody just started doing originals.
True. I mean, was there a direction planned out for the band back then? Because, you had bands like Motley Crue taking off in LA. They was considered a hair metal band, but I think they were way more than that, in my opinion, especially in the early days. You had bands like Metallica that were starting the thrash metal scene here on the East Coast because they had moved to New York at that point in time to put out the record on Megaforce. So, was there a direction that the band wanted to go in? Because you had that whole big look with the hair and the makeup and everything else, but the music never matched the look, in my opinion. There was always so much more to it than what people thought they might have gotten from the image of the band.
Well, really, honestly, we didn't really think about it at the time. We just took, what we liked and just kind of threw it in there. I was a big Metallica fan, big AC/DC fan. And we liked the way Motley Crue looked, so we just kind of threw it all together and go, hey, why, just because Motley Crue is kind of, I guess you could say, a poser band or a hair metal band, they still look cool. Why can't we do that
Yeah.
with like heavier stuff? So that was kind of our, you know, and it wasn't really all well thought out. We just said, yeah, this looks cool. Okay, let's throw it in there.
Everybody thinks there's a big thought process behind it, but sometimes it's just not. It's just like, hey, let's just do
No,
this.
we're talking about 21-year-old kids. We didn't know what we were doing. We just we didn't have any foresight. We just threw it out there and like, hey, this is cool. Let's do this. So
Yeah, and we had such a great scene here in the New York tri-state area, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Long Island, even up to Connecticut. It was an amazing scene. You guys were really active back then. I mean, you guys were always out there playing, it felt like.
yeah, well, we were playing a lot down here in South Jersey, and then we noticed there were a lot of really cool clubs up in New York, North Jersey and New York. So we started heading up there, and it just seemed like they were just really hungry for it. So we started going up there more and more.
True. I mean, when you think about it, you guys were really doing something a little different, I think, than everybody else. Even though you said you were fans of this band or that band, I always felt Crank had their own style. That musically, you guys were very unique.
I appreciate that. Like I said, we didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. It's just that's just how it came out. That was us at the time.
True. So now the Metal Massacre song comes out. Now the record comes out. It's like around 1986. I want to say. I think the record came out, was officially
Yep,
released. How did it work
1986.
out for you guys
Yep.
back then? Because a lot of people complained about Metal Blade back then that they really didn't offer a lot of support to the bands. And it's not like it's Atlantic Records or EMI where they're going to throw $1 million at you, try to get you in tours with other bands on their label. It was still an underground label, so I don't know how much support people were expecting from them. But did everything kind of work out the way you wanted it to with the release of that record?
It was pretty much what we expected. We knew Metal Blade wasn't going to throw thousands of dollars on tour support or anything like that. They did hook us up with a few shows here and there. But the most important thing is we had an album out with worldwide distribution. It just gave us a little extra clout because now we could say, hey, we're Metal Blade recording artists. So, and it's always nice to go into the record store and like go to the section where your album's in and pull it out and go, hey, that's us.
That's
So
that's my record. It really is. I mean, what were the challenges back then for a band? It was a big scene back then, and I think by 85, 86, bands realized that they had a chance of making it. They could have, took this to the next level, gotten signed to a major label, went out on those big tours. I mean, how do you get to like being the local New Jersey, Pennsylvania band to that next level? Was it possible to do it on your own?
it's all just a lot of hard work and a lot of practice and a lot of gigs. The more you gig, back then, the more you get well known and the bigger the crowds and the more record sales. It was different back then than it is now. Now you just have to put something out on YouTube and you could be a star. But back then it was all to the grindstone. We're just constantly working, working, working.
No, it's very true. Do you think bands have it too easy? I shouldn't say like too easy, like they could just become rock stars overnight. There's a million bands that they're all trying to just get themselves heard, but it is easy, like you said, to distribute your music with the internet. But do you think bands just have it too easy today? We feel like they don't have to work, like it says, put your nose to the grindstone and make your bones out there in the street. It's just so easy for them to put up a song on the internet and just kind of live with it that way.
Oh, it's way, way easier than it was back then. Definitely.
It's definitely easier, but I don't think the bands have, like I can't think of the right word I'm trying, but like they don't have the reach and impact on the internet that we had back then. Because I would go to a club whether I knew who Crank was or not. If you guys were up on stage, you were any good, I was going to become a fan of that band, and I was going to see you guys every time you played live and buy anything that you put out. Today, there's so much to filter through on the internet that I'm lucky sometimes I can find one band that really turns me on and interests me.
Yep, I totally agree. It's way different now than it was back then.
Yeah,
I
it's like
mean,
it's
it's
like
just
night and day.
yeah, big time.
So, the record comes out, now you guys are out there, like I said, you can say we're Metal Blade recording artists, which was a big thing back then. But it seems like not long after, maybe 2 years later, the band kind of imploded upon itself and broke up, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, the band got this bright idea. We're gonna like start touring for the record, and the plan was initially, hey, let's go out to L.A. That's where everybody's doing stuff, and so the initial plan was to like line up some gigs and play our way out to L.A. Play L.A. and then kind of line up some gigs, play our way back. The way things happened, we just the gigs just kind of weren't coming through between here and Los Angeles, so we just loaded up the bus and we went to L.A. And again, we didn't really have a plan. We were hoping the record company was going to give us, some help. Basically, it wasn't a whole lot. They were great, they loved to see us and they were really happy with the record sales, but they didn't really have a whole lot of clout out in LA. They sent us to the Troubadour and they said, "Hey, tell them Mike from Metal Blade sent you." So we went to Troubadour and said, "Hey, we want to set up a show," and they're like, "Well, you're going to have to submit this, 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 and this, and then you're going to have to put this down and all this other stuff." And they said, "Well, Mike from Metal Blade sent us," and he said, "Well, you're still going to have to, it was kind of, you're still going to have to submit your, yeah." So okay, great. So there wasn't really much help. So I had left the band at that point because we were literally on the bus, homeless in LA with like nothing to do, and I'm like, I'm out. So for a good 3 years or so, I was out, and the band did play a few shows out in LA, as far as I know, but the LA scene is way different. We kind of went from being a big fish in a small pond here in the Philadelphia area to LA, where like everybody was, the competition was fierce, and like I said, I was gone at that point, and the way LA works is, the main places to play are on the Strip, and if you play one place, you can't play any other place for 6 months. Oh, plus you have to buy your tickets in advance, and whatever you don't sell, you have to pay for, which we didn't have any money, of course. So it just kind of fell apart from there. They did manage to play a few shows. I couldn't tell you where because, again, at that point, I was out of the band. But that's pretty much what happened. And I know the final nail in the coffin was when our singer's sister was shot and killed back here at home. So he just basically just bailed on the whole thing out in LA and came back home. So that was pretty much the end of the original lineup of Krank.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely that had to be a tough market to break into, especially by the mid '80s. And I was just talking before you came on about a couple of documentaries to watch about the LA metal scene, and they're talking to like Stephen Pearcy from Rat, and he was like, I had to beg to get on one of these clubs, one of these venues, and one of these shows, and they would put me on a Monday night at midnight, and if we did okay and drew so many people, and they were saying the same thing about buying the tickets and selling the tickets, and those were bands that came from that area, and it was hard for them, to break into it. Once they did, they were okay, but it took a long time for that to happen. So I can imagine coming from the East Coast over there, like the New Kids on the Block, and you're knocking on their door, and like I could see that being a really tough market to break into by 85, 86, 87.
Yeah, 87. That was the end. 87 was the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. But that's this is the music business. I mean, that's as much as you want to be a musician, play music. There is a business part of it, and the business part always screws up the music part, in my opinion. But you're out of the band now, and I think it was in the mid '90s I heard that you guys were going to get back together.
We have had reunions on and off for the last 30 years. We've had a drummer that had been with us for way longer than the original drummer. So yeah, we've done plenty of reunion shows, and we even put out a second album. We managed to get on the bill for Rocklahoma, which is like America's biggest rock festival, twice. So I'd say we did pretty good.
Yeah, Rocklahoma is a big show. I mean, it must have been pretty good being on there.
Oh, that was awesome. That was like the most fun we ever had, man.
I can imagine. It was Ugly Gift that came out.
Bucket list.
We're talking about the new Ugly Gift. It was like 2003. I know it was a long time ago, but wasn't there something else that came out a few years later? We had some new songs and you re-recorded some other songs on it?
Well, we took Ugly Gift and we didn't like the production value, so we added a couple songs and it's basically the same album, just remixed and remastered with new songs. So Ugly
Yeah.
Gift became Ugly Right to the Bone. So it's not actually a third album. It's more like a proper release of the second album.
Yeah. Were those songs all newly written songs around the time that you were working on the record, or were any of them left over from the old days that you kind of reworked?
No, those were all new. Our singer Frank was a really good. He could come up with songs at the drop of a hat. So yeah, those were all new. Like nothing
But
left
it
from the
seems,
old days.
I was gonna, but it seems like it was such a natural continuation of the first record, which was like a 20-something year gap. I feel like this is where Crank would be musically if they kept putting out records, throughout those years.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same style. You got the same singer. That's kind of the key to any band. If the singer still sounds like the same singer, that gives the band its identity. So our identity was his the sound of his voice, pretty much.
Yeah, and like you said, it has been like over a decade since you guys have really done anything. Is there anything coming up, or is it kind of all put to bed right now?
No, we're all scattered to the four winds. Our drummer Jack, I have not seen or spoken to literally since I left the band in Los Angeles in 1988. I have no idea where he is. I do talk to my guitar player Mike occasionally on Facebook. He lives in Tennessee, retired. Singer Frank lives near me, but he's now a born again Christian. Kind of has no desire to do anything with this kind of music. So I guess that's kind of out. And I just, I could do it. I've gotten offers like because I can sing myself, and I'm like, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to go out there with like all those 80 bands just like throwing a lineup together just so they can go out there. It's like, oh no, there's only like one original guy in the band. I passed. I didn't want to do that. So for all intents and purposes, yeah, Crank is just a memory at this point. So
Well, kudos
and
for you for thinking that, feeling that way about putting like a lineup together. Because I think that's one of the things that annoys me is when bands go out there with very few of the original members, and they're playing it. And as much as you want to hear that music, it just doesn't have the same feel of vibe to it. And I mean, man, Christianity just kills everything. Crank.
yeah, I hate that. I mean, like I think what is it, Quiet Riot? I think they have like zero original members now, but they're still going out.
Yeah.
I can't even list how many bands are still out there with just like one guy and a bunch of guys you never heard of, but they're calling it the band just because they.
Yeah.
It's more like a glorified cover band. I think Foreigner has no original members left. So,
None. Not after
um,
Mick Jones left. That was it.
so yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve. And I think the
I,
nail in
I
the
I'm on
coffin
the
is
same boat.
I went to M3 and I saw Enough's Enough, and like nobody was in it except for the bass player, and the bass player was now the singer, and I'm like, this is not right. This is not Enough's Enough. So and that was just like, yeah, I'm not going to do this with Crank. I'm not doing it. So it's a cheat.
It is, and I'm glad you feel that way. It's better to put it to bed knowing that you went out on a high note and that people always remember, Hideous and Ugly Gift and all that music. But talking about bass players that sing, you actually are Alice Cooper. I mean, when I saw the videos, like, wow, I mean, I couldn't believe what a great job you do on that show.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. It's yeah, all these years of playing and stuff. Eventually, I learned how to sing, and who knew I could do it? So I just, they asked if I wanted to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I think I could. I look like Alice. I think I can do. I can do it. So I did it, and I could do it. So I did.
Yep.
Why not?
Zillion Dollar Babies, man. A big stage show. It looks really great. Was it uncomfortable the first time you got up there not having it? Because when you play guitar, I'm a bass player myself. When you play on stage, your bass is like your protection in a way. Your guitar's like your protection. You have something to hold on to, something to play. When you're the singer, you're up there out front, all on your own, and all eyes are focused just on you the whole time. So, did it take a little adjusting? I mean, you've been in this business
Oh
a long
yeah,
time. You've been playing a long time, but
definitely.
how
I
was it the
mean,
first
yeah, the
time?
first, the very first time, I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting in the dressing room, and I'm waiting to go on, and I'm all by myself, and I literally have nothing except for like a microphone in my hand, like no mic stand, no nothing, no, and I'm gonna go do this, and it scared the shit out of me. But yeah, I mean, after a few years, you get used to it. You know, you learn how to like do it. So it's kind of like a trial by fire. Like you go out there and you just do it. So that's what I did.
You do. Besides that, I mean, you got the Land of Oz where you're doing Ozzy. You take on the role of a lot of different bass players that came in and out of Ozzy's band over the years. Do you adjust your style for each different play that you're playing for? Or do you just keep it yourself and just do the Ozzy songs?
Um, well, with Land of Oz, we kind of pride ourselves on doing the studio versions of songs like as close to the original as possible. So all those Bob Daisley bass licks and stuff, I try to nail down and do it as you know like like he would do it. And as far as live performances, it doesn't really take much for me because I'm a big Rudy Sarzo fan anyway, and like a lot of my on stage playing style comes from him. So it was like a natural fit for me to like get up there and act like Rudy Sarzo, which is what I do. I would do it normally. So I'm kind of being me, but stealing from Rudy
From
Sarzo, I
Rudy.
guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have to get the yeah, do you have to practice licking your fingers and playing at the same time like Rudy does? Is that part of the set?
Yeah. I left that one to Rudy. He can keep that one.
Oh God, but you're talking about Bob Daisley. I mean, to me, one of the greatest bass players in the world, one of the greatest songwriters in the world, the most uncredited person I think, in the history of rock and roll, in my opinion. What an amazing player! I mean, when you play his bass lines and you listen to them on the record, I mean, it's got to blow you away what he was doing at that time.
Oh, you have no idea. Nobody knows more than me. And I go deep into those songs. I'm like, oh my god, listen to what this guy's doing. And it's like some of the stuff doesn't make any sense, but it sounds really fucking cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very fun to play. It's a challenge, and I enjoy every minute of it. But yeah, Bob Daisley was definitely a highly underrated bass player and way underrated songwriter. A lot of people don't know that that he wrote I think most of those songs on those first two albums, and then maybe even more after that, after it wasn't even in a band together with Ozzy anymore. But
Oh
Bob
yeah.
Daisley's done a lot for Ozzy.
Bob wrote most of Bark at the Moon, The Ultimate Sin. He even came in the first record with Zach Wild and wrote most of the songs on that too. Even that was after he kept getting screwed by Ozzy and Sharon over the years. He still kept coming back, so he was kind of like a glutton for punishment in a way. But he wrote those were the best of the Ozzy records in my opinion. He was involved in every one of them and all those songs. Just an amazing songwriter, just incredible.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, and he just doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I definitely don't think he deserved to get screwed by Sharon and Ozzy after all he did. I mean, Ozzy, and I can say this, Ozzy wouldn't be where he is today without his help. You know what I mean?
True.
Like Ozzy, I've read more than once that Ozzy at the time, and probably still, was just never a great songwriter at writing lyrics. You know what I mean? So to my knowledge, I don't think he's ever written a lyric. So even though Ozzy's the guy who's the legend and, famous worldwide, he's basically a household name, all he's doing is singing. He's not writing. He's not doing anything. So,
No,
um,
doesn't even come up the melody lines. That's all done for him. I mean,
no,
listen, I love Ozzy, but everything was done for him. But yet his name is on every single song, and those checks are going to him and Sharon. So you know,
yep, yep. Oh, don't get me
and that's
wrong. I'm not dissing the guy. I love Ozzy, but
no, yep.
let's give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Once again that's the business part of it. Like I agree to. I don't think he could have got the way he was without Bob Daisley and the band, Lee Kerslake and Randy Rhoads in those first couple of records. But I also say the same thing about Sharon. I mean, she guided that career to make him a mega millionaire, if more than that. So they both had a hand in it. But she's a kind of a vicious person. And it's funny because next week I got Phil Simpson on the show, so I can't wait to talk to him about all this Sharon stuff. I don't know how open he's going to be about it, but I want to talk to him about all that.
Absolutely.
So that should be good. So what do you got going on for the rest of the year? And like I said, Crank is, to the wind right now, but you got anything coming up with the other bands?
Well, I have a couple shows coming up with Land of Oz. And I don't have the itinerary in front of me. I could tell you Good Friday, we're playing Sellersville Theater in Sellersville, PA. I think it's probably sold out by now. Typically, we've sold it out the last 5 years we've played there, so I'm
Wow.
expecting it to be a sellout if it's not already. Then in the beginning of May, we've got the Riviera Theater in Buffalo, which is even bigger. That also sells out periodically. I don't know it's sold out yet, but yeah, the May 3rd at Riviera Theater in Buffalo is also going to be another sellout. And then we've got more shows. I wish I had my itinerary in front of me, but those are the next two big shows I got coming up. I've also
That's
got
great.
some, my singer for Land of Oz is also fronting a Ronnie James Dio tribute called Ultimate Live Evil, so I play bass for that too. We've got gigs with them coming up. Let's see, I want to say April, the first Saturday in April, we're playing Tom and Jerry's in Philadelphia, and we're playing the Landis Theater in February. And we usually do very well at both of those places. So that's pretty much what I got going on. I don't really, I'm 61 years old, so no, I don't play somewhere every weekend anymore. When the gigs come, I'm happy to take them. If not, I'm cool.
Yeah, it gets harder as we get older, but I'm glad that you're out there still doing it, you're still playing, and you're having a good time. That's the most important part about it all.
Well, I'm the only one from Krank that's still doing it, as far as I know. I think the other guys have all just kind of hung it up like years ago.
You want to know why? Because we're bass players. We never give up.
I guess so, man.
That's what it is. Hey, but Kevin, listen, it was a pleasure having you on there today. I want to play some more music, and then we're going to wrap up tonight's show in a little bit. But listen, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for being on here. And I'm going to catch you guys one day when you're in our area.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you.
Thank you, Kevin. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right, let's get on Don't Fuck With Me.
Never for life, across the sky.
Well, you can't tell me those guys weren't great. They were so good, man. Oh, another great singer lost to Christianity. Iman loves that. They were really good, Crank, and I miss those guys. And like I said, we're not going to see them around anymore, but you still got those first records. You got Hideous and Ugly Gift. Buy them, pick them up, support the music. Two great albums instead of a good new band from the New York, New Jersey area. Actually, Philadelphia, but I keep saying New York, New Jersey because that's where the scene really focused in those days. All right, I made a mistake. I thought we had Phil Sousa on next week. We actually have the guys. Who do we have on next week? I don't even remember. It's too early on in the show to decide that. It's the it's the band Wicked next week. The whole band Wicked will be on the show next week, and then we have Phil Sousa on the week after that. We were going to do our Christmas special last Sunday, the 22nd, but we're going to move the Christmas special to Christmas on the 25th. I'll pre-record that like I usually do every year. We were going to do it live. I think the last 2 weeks of the year we'll do our two holiday specials. But you know what? It's playing 2 hours of Christmas music, even though it's heavy metal Christmas music, is a lot. You know, so we're just going to do our 1 hour special like normal. We'll have Phil Sousa on, and we'll talk to him about The Last in Line and Ozzy and Prophets of Addiction, which is a new band that he plays with, and he's producing the record, even though he's not a full-time member of the band. So we'll talk to Phil all about that in 2 weeks. Next week, Wicked is on the show, and then we'll have our Christmas special on, which will be pre-recorded. But we'll do our Happy New Year special live on the Sunday before New Year's Eve, and that's going to wrap it up for 2024. I apologize. You know what it is? I'm still not completely used to Mixler yet. There's a 30-second delay on here, which I didn't have on Blog Talk Radio or Spreaker. They were live almost down to the second. There was a 1 second delay, which wasn't bad. Here there's like a 30-second delay, so it takes a little while to get used to waiting for that 30 seconds to come up, you know? Especially on the songs. Like I'm getting ready to jump into something else, and it's still playing, and then it shows that there's a minute left. There's only 30 seconds left. I don't know why they did that on here, but it takes a little getting used to. Plus, when I was doing the interview, it's the first live interview we've done here on this site, and I wasn't sure if all the controls were set up the right way. I practiced it over and over all week long to make sure. And as I was doing the interview, I kept trying to write that there's like 12 different controls or settings on the control panel to make a live interview work. I was trying to write each one down as I was doing the interview, so next week I could program it the same way and set it in place. I know that it works now, you know. So forgive me if I was a little slow there. Plus, with the delay, it kind of threw me off. But these are the things we're going to get used to on here. It isn't like Blog Talk Radio or Spreaker where it's like live down to the second. There is a small 30-second delay here, and I got to pick up on that. I talked about Blog Talk Radio. They sent me an email like a week ago, which I just read now because I don't do the show. I haven't done the show there in about 5 or 6 years now. That they're going out of business. They're closing up shop. January 31st will be the last day. So there's going to be a lot of unemployed hosts on that network. I mean, they still have probably more shows than any other place out there. Listen, I had a great time doing my show there. The sound quality was absolutely horrific. It was like listening to music on a transistor radio. But they were one of the first sites that had a built-in switchboard and a built-in control panel and allowed you to do live phone calls and have a live audience. So, you know, I was grateful to them. And, you know, what happened was early on when Tommy came up with that, found that site, me and him were doing the show together before it became the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show and went off on my own. You know, it was all done with phones. You called in on the telephone. You spoke on a house phone. You couldn't even use a cell phone to do it because it just wouldn't pick up the numbers on the phone, the buttons, whatever. So you had to do it on a house phone back then. So a landline, as they call it. So me and Tommy did it that way for a couple episodes, and he didn't want to do it no more. We changed the name of the show, and it became the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show almost 17 years ago. And it was just a great site. I had so much fun because, you know, I had my own phone number that they gave me, and I had guests calling in. I was able to call guests out. Even though the sound was great, but, you know, it wasn't great. It was mostly an interview show because that's what we prided ourselves on. We did 2 or 3 interviews a week back then, and I had a great time here. And the original general manager, his name is drawing a blank right now. I know it was John something. He took a real liking to me because my shows, like after the second year, we would get like 20, 30, 40,000 listens every week to the show. Whether it was either live or through the replays, which back then you could only listen to the replays on Blog Talk Radio. It isn't like now where my show was on Apple and Spreaker and Spotify and iHeartRadio and Pandora. My show is everywhere right now, so the listeners all spread out. But back then you could only listen to it on Blog Talk Radio. So, you know, we would get so many listeners. They took a shine to me. It made me like a featured host. And, you know, I always got a lot of attention. Towards the end, there was another guy called Andy Toe. And this guy was the biggest jerk off in the world. I know he's not there anymore. He left a few years ago, I heard. I got such an argument with this guy right before I ended the show there. I mean, besides like just having to stop doing it because I was too busy. I was watching my grandkids all day long by myself, and I was working at nighttime, so it was too difficult, doing the show, doing interviews during the week, and watching my grandkids. And he just got under my skin, that guy, so bad that I was like, I complained that the sound quality is still terrible. You can't get any help, and they're like one of the most expensive podcast sites ever. I think they're like $100 something a month now. I think they were like 99 a month back then. That's what you had to pay. The joint. I didn't have to pay anything because I got grandfathered in as a featured host early on by the old GM. So when they started charging people, I didn't have to pay anything. So I was doing my show for free all that time. Plus, I was bringing in revenue from the advertising and stuff like that. So they were actually making money off the show. Not a fortune, but they were making some money. And I complained this, I'm having trouble getting onto doing the show today. There's all these technical problems. There's never anybody there. Being a featured host, you're supposed to have like somebody in customer service there available every time. Nobody's ever there. And I got this big argument about that. He's like, well, you're not paying for it, so what are you worried about? And I just went off on him, and they threatened to take me off, and I said, you know what, I'm ending it anyway. And we ended the show that September, and we just did interviews after that on YouTube until I came back with Spreaker a few years ago. But Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker actually bought each other, or merged, or whatever they did, in 2018. So Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker are technically the same company right now, but you won't see Blog Talk Radio no more. That's gone. Spreaker is getting rid of the live broadcast, and that's why we came here to Mixler, because I still want to do the show live every week. So it is what it is. Like I said, I had a great 12-year run on Blog Talk Radio. I love being there. I enjoyed Spreaker the first year. Then they started messing around by deleting my shows and my episodes for all these violations they said I had, which I didn't know really until today. They couldn't explain to me what one of them was. I have no idea why they were like that. You go there now, it's like they said there's 21 episodes of my show. There's like 1,400 episodes of my show, but they kept deleting them. So we're here on Mixler right now. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully they'll keep up with the live broadcast until something else comes out. If not, we are going to go back to Spreak and have to pre-record. But for as many years we can get out of Mixler doing live shows with live calls, which we know now works okay, we're going to keep on doing it. All right, so Christian wanted to hear Leviticus this week. So let's get that on for him right now. Here's Let Me Fight.
You leave me all a great note. And now you break the shield, lose to your keyboard. Because your life is a beautiful domain. I'm making a libero and you become insane. Sometimes you roll to show your terrible power, but you're a prisoner like a cruel murderer. This universe for you like hell. Life is fast, overcome big. Now there's only one thing to do. Resign yourself to disappear. There's a crowd of people, but they're all bastards and you don't care anymore. Since nails victim of a human justice, you will never come out of this captivity, prisoner. Forever, like a slayer.
Okay, Tarantula with the Prophets of Christ in Dome. Oxen Killer before that with The King is Dead. And Leviticus with Let Me Fight for Christian. All right, we're getting down to the last 15, 20 minutes of the show, boy. There hasn't been as many glitches as I thought I was going to come across doing the show on here. I'm just a creature of habit. That's the problem. I got so used to the way things worked on Spreaker. And Spreaker took me a long time to figure out after being on Block Talk Radio for so long. So, I think we're getting the hang. I think we're doing pretty good for the second week. We haven't had too many screw-ups and the live interview work. So I think we're good to go from now on. And we'll figure all the rest out as we move along through the weeks. Don't forget, next Sunday night, Wicked is our guest. The entire band is on the show. And the week after that, Phil Susan from he's with the Last in Line right now, but he's from Ozzy's band and a lot of other groups. So we'll be talking to Phil in the week that's coming. And then we got 2 holiday specials. So if you have any requests for the Christmas show, get it to me by the end of this week, because I'm probably going to record it sometime this weekend to get that up and running for on the 25th. All right, how about we do some Warrior? Well, you know what? The other day I was reading and Blabbermouth. Every now and then I like to glance through some of those clickbait articles. And David Ellison was saying, Rock is dead, and I'm going to get crucified for saying this. One of the reasons Rock is dead or dying is because of people like David Ellison putting together bands like the King of Thrash. You just talked to Kevin Mercer from Krank, and he says, I could put a band back together, but who wants to see just the bass player? That's something that I say all the time. And, other bass players get offended, but I'm a bass player myself, and we went on to this about last week, and, it's the same thing. People like, David Ellison doing the Kings of Thrash with Jeff Young, who played in Megadeth for like 8 months, and he talks all this shit about Dave Mustaine. Dave Mustaine's an asshole. We all know that. Move past that already. He's never going to be anything different in his lifetime. He's just an asshole, the guy. But this guy, it's just a stupid band. I mean, no, if you want to see Megadeth, hear Megadeth songs, go see Megadeth live. They're still playing. They tour every year, sometimes a couple of times a year. Talked about this last week. It's bands like that. But, I get what he's saying, too, in a way. Gene Simmons said this years ago, and people crucified him for saying rock is dead. But let's be honest, it is. If it isn't already, it's dying. I mean, let's be honest. Do you see any bands down the pike? I mean, a hard rock band. Listen, AC/DC is a rock band. They're not a metal band. They're a rock band. Maybe a little bit on the hard rock side, but Foreigner's a hard rock band, too. Jukebox Hero is heavier than AC/DC's biggest song, Shook Me All Night Long. It's a heavier song than that. But Foreigner is a rock band. AC/DC is a rock band. Where's the next Foreigner coming from? Where's the next Journey coming from? Where's the next AC/DC coming from? Do you see any bands up in the pike or coming through the pike that that you can say, hey, these guys are gonna play Madison Square Garden with AC/DC packing in a couple of years and that's all they do? No, there are none. So when AC/DC is gone, I mean, is it going to be just this continuation of bands playing without any original members? We just spoke about Foreigner. Journey's basically down to Neil Schon, I think, right now. When he's gone, and they're going to get another guitar player in there. Is that going to continue on with all different people? Is that going to be and they're not even arena bands where they headline arenas. They do most of these outdoor festivals like the PNC Bank Art Center here in New Jersey. I mean, is this the future where we're not going to have any new bands that can write and play and that are great live, playing great rock music? We're just going to see rehashed versions of these classic bands with no original members at all. Is that the future? Because let's be honest. I mean, Nico McBrain just retired, 72 years old. The rest of the guys in Iron Maiden, they're in great shape. They're only about 5 years younger than him, maybe 6 at the most. And yeah, it's a little easier for a guitar player, to get up on stage and play if he doesn't have arthritis or hand problems. Drummer's extremely physical. Nico McBrain is a physical drummer to the health, so he had to pack it in. Plus he had the stroke last year, so I get that. But Metallica is still relatively young. They're in their 50s, most of them, so they got a long time to go still. If they're healthy and God is with them. But AC/DC, they're in the 70s also. Brian Jones had to step out a couple of years back when he couldn't sing anymore because he couldn't hear. He had hearing issues. I mean, they're all getting older. We're all getting older. They're not going to be around anymore. Who's going to take their place? They will talk about Greta Van Fleet. Greta Van Fleet fell by the wayside. They were too much of a Led Zeppelin impersonator, and they just kind of fell by the wayside. They're still out there. They're still playing, but they are definitely not the heirs to the throne. They are definitely not going to be the next arena band, and there's nobody coming up behind them. So what's the future for hard rock? Who's going to be playing all these arenas and these big places somewhere down the road? Is it going to just be the fourth interioration of, a Foreigner or Journey? Or who's it going to be? Metal's in the same boat. I mean, outside of, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath packed it in. They might do a show here and there. What metal bands? I mean, you still got the Scorpions out there, but they're going on, 60 years now? I think, who's out there? When those 4 or 5 metal bands are gone, what metal bands are playing the stadiums? Is Megadeth going to step up? I mean, Megadeth plays pretty big places, but I don't know if they can headline Madison Square Garden on their own. I really don't know. I got to be honest with you. When Slayer reunites, can they headline Madison Square Garden on their own or do a tour headlining arenas like Madison Square Garden? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Who knows? So when people talk shit like that, yeah, they're talking shit just to get attention, but it's kind of true in a way. So who knows? We'll see what it is. All right, let's get back to the music. We got enough time for a few more songs before we wrap it up here tonight. How about some Warrior? Welcome aboard.
Give me the power to make a dream come real. Destiny will be denied. The truth will be revealed. silence. Take heed, come the morning. We'll fight your downfall. I'll come here to stop you. Stop life, suppressed hate, self-rate growing stronger. First time, forced out, no doubt by the oppressed. You slide. Until we bring the dawn of death, these things you can look for. You know damn well they'll be with you, oppression, hate, and war. Taking, faking, lie and murder, self-gain, fight wars, pay whores just to please you. False brain, closed eyes, you'll die, don't sleep at night. We're there to meet your maker, it's a pleasure. We care. Until we bring this dawn of death, these things you can look for. You know damn well they'll be with you, oppression, hate, and war. Nightly vigils, watching your moves, scheming. The outcome will stun, ending your life to meaning. We've masked, will last, here to conquer your past, your rules. For fools, understand this, we rule. Until we bring that dawn of death, these things you can look for. You know damn well they'll be with you, oppression, hate, and war.
All right, Blacksmith with Burn Down the World. We're going to wrap it up tonight with one more song. I want to thank Kevin Mercer from Krank for being on tonight's show. I will see you guys next Sunday night with Wicked. The whole band is here. Have a great week, everybody. Take care. I'll see you next Sunday night. Let's wrap it up with some New York metal. Takashi Kamikaze. Take care, everybody.
Set